Hello, everyone. Welcome to day two, class two of the essentials. Yesterday, we had such great speakers and so much information. I learned a lot, and I'm sure all of those who attended did too. And thank you, everyone, for the incredible questions. Please keep them coming. No questions too small to ask. That's why we're here. That's why our speakers are here because they want to answer as many questions as possible to their journey and the information they're sharing. For those who don't know, my name is Polly Rangu, and I'm the founder of Black Women Photographers. And I'm so happy to be co-hosting with the one and only Danielle, who is an independent photojournalist and community team member of the Everyday Projects.
Aw, thank you, Polly. Just love this time that we have together, having so much fun. You're so amazing. And yeah, it's just such a joy to be with you every year, for many more years to come, all across the world next year, for 8 days in a row, like Anastasia said. Um, Anyways, for those of you who are just now tuning in, the Essentials are free online classes about navigating the photojournalism industry. And we've also talked a lot about, about a lot of topics, commercial photography, themes outside of the box too. So not just necessarily strictly photojournalism, but we do this in partnership with grassroots photo organizations working toward inclusivity, equity, and access in the media. We are the Everyday Projects, Black women photographers, and Photo Wings. I'm a community team member of the Everyday Projects, which is a global community of visual storytellers committed to using imagery to combat harmful misperceptions and to rise above persistent inequality. And we are also a nonprofit and we do a lot of really cool things. So check out our website. Those are URLs are being dropped in the chat. Please, we do so much. Essentials is, one of our favorite things that we do, but we got a lot going on. So please check us out. Follow us on Instagram. And yeah, and Polly, tell us more about what you do. You're just so amazing. I think there are a few people in this world who I believe are cloned, and I think you have a clone because it's just how do you do what you do? I don't know.
I'm waiting for to have a clone. That'd be amazing. And then that clone can be the one that's roasted by ChatGPT, not me. Um, but yeah, my name is Polly, and I'm the founder of Black Women Photographers, an organization that I started 5 years ago now. We are a global community and directory and nonprofit organization that supports Black and African women creatives across the globe. We do incredible things such as free resources like this one that you're here attending with the essentials with Everyday Projects and Photo Wings. Next week, we'll have our annual BWP Summit. We do free portfolio reviews, workshops, and grant initiatives each year to help and support our members across the globe.
Amazing, amazing.
And like Danielle said, this series wouldn't be possible without our other partner, Photo Wings. Photo Wings is a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing the power of photography to further deeper thinking, communication, and action. Their extensive online content and Photo Wings outreach programs have myriad educational applications and possibilities, and they make these classes here free and accessible to all of you. And we wouldn't be able to make this possible without their partnership.
Yes, thank you so much, Photo Wings. And I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of people as well on the Everyday Projects community team who are tirelessly working behind the scenes and who help Polly and I and Photo Wings make this series possible every year. And that's Rebecca Gibeon and Austin Merrill, who, along with Peter DeCampo, are the co-founders of the Everyday Projects. And they're so amazing. I mean, honestly, we would be lost without them. So thank you so much for all that you do. And before we get started, I would like to honor the life of Sarah Terry. Sarah Terry is in this photo here. This was after the first board meeting of the Everyday Projects, and Sarah Terry is the beautiful person smiling. You can just see the joy and love radiating from her with the glasses on, and she recently passed away. And if you didn't know Sarah, but you've come across some of her posts, they're just so genuine and so beautiful and authentic because that's exactly who she was. And she's just left a tremendous hole in our hearts and across the visual media industry and beyond. And she was an amazing photographer herself and filmmaker and founder of the Aftermath Project, which we actually had an award recipient speak about her work yesterday. And she was always such a huge supporter of the Everyday Projects from the beginning, and really helped the organization grow, at first as a contributing photographer and then as a board member. Again, this is a picture after their first meeting with a few of the other board members. You can see Austin and Peter smiling up there in the corner. And she was just so supportive, and so authentic. I mean, all of the things that we've talked about this weekend, Sarah was that. And we're just so grateful, for everything that she's done for us, for the community and beyond. And she loved the essentials. It was exactly the kind of thing that she believed in, people supporting and uplifting each other through photography and education. And so with that, we'd like to honor the life of Sarah and continue, doing what she did as well, supporting these incredible storytellers. And we've had an amazing lineup yesterday. We're continuing with that today. We've got some stellar teachers. As always, we're an open book. Please drop your questions in the chat. This is a safe space. There is no bad question. As you saw from Raquel's session, I mean, ask away. We're all open books. And no matter what stage you're at, whether it's you're at the beginning, the middle, there's never an end in this. We hope that you get, you can take away with some little golden nuggets of knowledge from these incredible speakers that we have this weekend.
Absolutely. And like we said before, and we'll keep saying this, is don't we still get these questions every time. Each class is being recorded, and the videos will be available on our respective websites, Everyday Projects, Black Women Photographers, and Photo Wings. So make sure to take note of all of our websites and our social platforms and follow us. And also, Photo Wings has a very large archive of great videos on all facets of photography. So make sure to check those out too. And without further ado, let's get started.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. It's always bittersweet, right? It's like, oh, we have another amazing speaker, but we're starting to get to the end of the second day. But man, we're just continuing with the high energy because you guys, you are in for a treat, because we are going to hear from Angela Ogunfojuri speak today. And she just seems like one of the coolest, most likable, lovely people on planet Earth. And she's going to expertly navigate us through a topic that I myself would love to learn more about, and that is commercial photography. She's definitely one of the best to walk us through this because, well, I mean, you got to check out who she is. She's a lifestyle photographer based in London whose work bursts with youth, vibrancy, and authenticity. She specializes in sports, food, and lifestyle photography. She captures real moments that are honest and filled with the unexpected. Her images are characterized by bold use of color, dynamic framing, and an infectious sense of joy. You can see it through her work, and you can see it through her. Angela's approach focuses on telling stories that unfold in a single frame, slices of life that feel both personal and universal, with an eye for unique details that make each person or place stand out. Angela delivers images full of impact and style that celebrate what makes us all truly one of a kind. And if that wasn't enough, her clients include Adidas, Made in Africa, Savii London, and her work has been featured in BBC Africa, TimeOut London, and Glam Africa. I mean, the list goes on, y'all. So, Angela, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you here today, and I can't wait to hear you. Please come on the stage.
Hello.
Yay!
Can't
I wish
wait
we
to
could have
see
like a applause, but it's just me and Polly and so many people tuning in. But thank you so much for being here.
I am so happy to be here and thank you so much for having me. I am so glad, like I'm so happy to instill my knowledge of what I have of to you lovely people. So I just want to say thank you so much. I've already said it already, but thank you so much, Everyday Projects, and thank you so much, Black Women Photographers, and thank you so much for Photo Wings for having me. I guess is it can I get started?
Yeah. Oh,
Can I
yeah.
go for it?
Definitely.
Okay.
We're ready.
Um, So, um, just get started. All right, so let's go. So I'm so excited to talk to you about breaking into commercial photography. I know the world can actually feel quite intimidating and it can also feel quite overwhelming when you're just getting started. So trust me, I've been there. Like it took me a while to finally just understand the elements of like commercial photography. And actually, it's actually so much more accessible than you think. So I'm just going to break down exactly where to start, um, how to leverage your skills and your strengths that you already have, and then give you practical, actionable steps that you can take today, and to start landing your first commercial opportunity. So by the end of this time together, hopefully you have a clear roadmap, and feel confident about taking your next steps. So first things first. So for today's agenda, we're going to cover finding your foundation, then what to shoot, where inspiration comes from. Then we'll dive into your personal work, and how you can make that more commercially viable. And then next, we'll explore your unique strengths and how to play to them. And then I'll give you my kind of research process, and how to reach out to brands. And then we'll wrap up and then we can go for the Q&A after. So first things first, about me. Um, as Danielle has already said, I'm a lifestyle photographer. I specialize in sports, food, lifestyle, and drinks. Vibrant, honest, very colorful. I just kind of go in with just go inside with like a mix of things. Um, I'm all about like finding those like different kind of angles. And I'm going to share with you today the mistakes I've made, the things that worked for me, and what I wish someone had told me when I first started out. And I'm sure, and I'm not here to give you theory, it's just more to give you just like real practical stuff. And also like my clients include L'Oreal, Google, Superdrug, and Bumble. So I guess so the first things first, is what should I shoot? So this is the kind of question I get quite a lot because sometimes you have so many different interests and so many different things that you're interested in. Um, and I always say it's anything. I don't think you have to stick to one certain thing, if you're inspired by so many different things. But I think it's whatever inspires you, whatever makes you excited to pick up your camera, that's what you should be shooting. So like I can't stress this enough. Your personal work, the stuff that you shoot just because you love it is your foundation. That's where your voice comes from. So don't worry about whether it's commercial enough. We'll get to that point. But right now, um, give yourself permission to shoot what you love. Because that passion and that authentic excitement, it shows in your work, and that's what brands want to see. Um, so where does inspiration come from? Um, I always get this question a lot. It's like, oh, how do you feel inspired? Um, where can inspiration come from? It's literally once I decided to not take inspiration so seriously, I get inspired by the most random things. So because it's literally everywhere. So if you instead of looking at other photography images, you can do it by engaging your senses. It can come from taste and smell. It can come from like for example, the feeling of a cold drink, and maybe you walk into a coffee shop and you know that anticipation of having your first sip of coffee. It can come from music. I've had many like shoots inspired by music, just because of the mood of it, the way my body feels when I listen to it. It can come from like excitement and nostalgia, summer, summer fun, heartbreak, history, your family, your friends. It can also be a random moment on the street. Could be when you're like doing your weekly shop at the grocery store, or as we say here, like the supermarket, or at the gym. So I would say start keeping a visual diary or mood board on your phone when something catches your eye. Just either like note it down. I note stuff down like whenever I get inspiration. Literally, I got inspiration just like I was outside and it was really hot and I really wanted some watermelon and I just wrote that down, just like watermelon shoot because I had an image in my head. So, so like those kind of things really help me to just remember because sometimes you think about an image or something you want to create but you kind of forget it. So I always try and write down or capture it or some sort of way that helps me remember. And these little moments of inspiration can add up to inform your like unique visual language. That emotion drawn from your life and senses is what you need to channel into your portfolio. It ensures your work is authentic, but also not just technically proficient. So let's just get clear on what commercial work is. So commercial work is when a brand or company hires you to create photographs that help them sell a product or service. This could be anything, a restaurant hiring you to shoot their menu, a sports brand wanting lifestyle imagery for their campaign, a beverage wanting content for social media, hotels wanting to showcase their property, the kind of services that they offer. But what's important to understand is that commercial work doesn't mean boring, soulless corporate photography. It can be in brands are actively looking for photographers with unique, authentic voices. So they're tired of stock looking images. They want your perspective, your energy, your style. So throw out any preconceived notions about commercial work being restrictive or uncreative. The best commercial work happens when your authentic artistic voice meets a brand's needs. The client is paying you because they need an image that helps them move product, sell a service, or change perception. Your art becomes a business tool. That shift in mindset is step one. Um, and so blending commercial and personal work. So this is the bit where it gets really exciting. And this is where I got personally stuck when uh yeah, this is where I got personally stuck. I couldn't figure out how to do both. So say you have beautiful work, but they don't know how to make it commercially viable. The thing they think they need to completely change is their style. So I used to think I need to change how I edit photos, what it is that I shoot, um, or the the kind of like the processing, the selection, what actually should be commercially viable. Um, and instead, the magic happens when you translate your personal vision into something that brands want. So this is a skill and the goal here is to change who you are as an artist. Isn't to change who you are as an artist, but is to understand how your unique perspective solves problems for brands. So every brand has a message they want to communicate, an emotion they want to evoke. Your job is to show them how your way of seeing the world can help them do that. Step one is to create how you see the world. So you have to trust your vision. You have to trust how you see the world. This is like non-negotiable. I see so many talented photographers trying to copy what's already out there, trying to shoot like other photographers they admire. I've done this in the past. I still do. I still look for inspiration through other photographers, but I make sure that I'm inspired by so many more variety of things. Um, and studying other work is important, but copying won't get you hired because these photographers already exist and brands don't need another version of that of someone else, of that photographer. They need you, your unique perspective, your way of framing a shot, your use of color, your ability to capture specific mood or energy. That's your superpower. So before you even think about commercial work, get really clear on your voice. So what makes your work distinctively yours? For me, as in I said at the beginning, it was like I love color, I love emotions, I love like really getting into that moment, like just really just and trying to create authentic moments by just seeing how the talent or the model or the subject interacts with whatever it is on set. That kind of helps me because then I'm seeing how it unravels and unrolls, and then I can then go in with my camera and then capture that moment. Um, and so you have to be really clear on your voice and then what makes yours distinctively yours. So what do people always comment on about your photos? That's your golden ticket. So own it, refine it, and trust it completely. Find the visual gaps. Can your unique perspective tell that brand story in a fresher, more honest way than you are currently doing? So next step is to translate it. So this is a practical exercise that you can do. So look at advertisements around you on Instagram, magazines, billboards, online, websites. Just really look at them and look at the lighting, the composition, the mood, the colors. Now you have to ask yourself, can I see my work there? Where does your style fit into the current landscape? What's missing that you could bring? For example, when I started, I noticed for me a lot of food photography was quite pristine and quite perfect. And I'm not a pristine, perfect girl. That's not who I am. I'm a bit silly, I'm a bit messy. And that's who I am, that's me. So that's like what I capture, like real people eating and enjoying food. Or just like messy, energetic moments, silly moments as well. I'm silly, I'm quite silly on set. And I realized that this was my space, that was a space, there was a space for that, for me to enter that. And I could see my work in campaigns for brands that wanted to feel more authentic and relatable. And this exercise isn't about changing your style to fit what's out there. It's about identifying where your existing style already fits and where there are gaps that you can fill. And I would say also like this is for all genres of photography. And I'm talking about authentic, like when I say authentic, it's mainly from my style of photography. Authenticity can come from all sorts, like from still life, you can have like the way you see it is authentic to you. So not necessarily that the person that you're shooting is authentic, but your vision is authentic to you. Um, and so hence this is like a kind of exercise that I kind of do from like now and then is to find a product or service that you use all the time, something that you genuinely love. So this could be your running shoes, could be coffee, could be your favorite water bottle, could be your iPhone. It could be literally anything. It could even be a cleaning product. There's like it literally could be whatever it is. You could be your restaurant as well, like your favorite restaurant or your local restaurant, and then how does it make you feel? So while using this product, what is the emotions that you're getting from it? So not what it does, but how it makes you feel. So does the coffee make you energized? For me, coffee is more about the anticipation. So how can I make that? How can I shoot something that brings out that anticipation of having my first sip of coffee? But also it could be I like my favorite drink at the moment is 7 Up strawberry lemonade. It just got released in the UK, and like I love it so much. And I'm thinking of different ways I could shoot that emotion of like I just love that it has no sugar. I can just drink. I can just drink it. And like I love the colors as well. So I'm thinking in like what makes me feel when I drink it, how do I feel? And I usually feel like there's so much fun in drinking this. And I love it so much, but there's like no sugar in it. And like there's all this like fizziness. And I'm trying to think, how can I convey that into a shoot? Um, and then, but this it could also be like your favorite restaurant. So, with your favorite restaurant, you could like when you go inside, like, do you feel at home? Do you feel comfortable? Um, are you like, with the waiters, with the staff in, are you like, do you have like a good relationship or a good rapport with them? So these are the things that you can think about and how then to convey that into a visual. And so this is the key to commercial photography. You're not just photographing a product, you're photographing that feeling, the experience, the transformation. And the magic is if you feel that way, chances are thousands or millions of other people feel that way too. And that's what brands want to capture. So, but they're using you as a vessel for that universal human emotion. That translated feeling is what brands are actually trying to sell. Um, and so um, this is very like I think if we can all put it into our heads is like your vision, your style, and your story, and you could just have to own it. Um, So own your story and then and then from that you can get confidence, and the confidence is critical in commercial photography because they're paying you to bring their campaign to life, and you have to be confident that you can execute it. And I think once you study what you love to shoot, once you study what kind of emotions you want to convey from what you're shooting, you have that confidence in you to direct to shoot. And so when you reach out to a brand or creative director, they need to feel confident in your work. They need to see that you know what you're good at. And we're not talking about here about arrogance or anything, but I'm talking about quiet, like grounded confidence, like you know your worth, you know what you bring to the table. Brands can smell insecurity. They definitely can. And they're drawn to photographers who own their perspective unapologetically. So work on that. And if you don't have it yet, fake it till you make it. But I think as you're shooting what feels true to you, you become much more confident with your work. When I first started getting into commercial photography, I wasn't that confident. I was like, oh, I like this, but I'm not too sure. But then as I progressed, I was like, no, this is the same thing is happening again. I'm shooting similar things, the same kind of colors and emotions are coming up. And so that made me feel more comfortable. Like actually they're hiring me for this particular thing. And so that makes me feel like, no, I've executed this before, so I can do this again, and I can definitely work with these brands to bring that to life. Um, and so, yeah, believe in your vision because if you don't, no one else will. And so, this is another thing. Your strength is you. And I think like throughout this whole presentation, I've been saying this, like your strength really is you. And and by this, I don't mean your photography skills. So I mean you as a complete package. See, different photographers have different superpowers. Some are and all of these are valuable. Some photographers are incredibly technical. And I know a few photographers who are so technical. They can just think of lighting diagrams in their head, and they can nail any lighting setup. Um, and they're wizards in post-production. There's some wizards, sorry, in post-production. Others are much more intuitive and spontaneous. This is my camp. And they're chaos creators who thrive on unpredictability. Some photographers' greatest strength is their ability to connect with people and make everyone on set feel comfortable. The point is, um, there's no one right way to be a commercial photographer. Your job is to figure out what your specific strengths are and then lean into them hard. So there are so many different ways there's so many different superpowers you can have. So we can break this down. So are you a technical expert, sorry. Do you geek out over lighting ratios and camera settings? Brands need photographers who can execute technically complex shoots flawlessly. I've been on sets where there's like 10 different lights, 14 different like modifiers, and there's flags everywhere. And I'm looking at that like I don't know what is going on there. But some photographers are so able to they just know exactly what they're doing, and they know like this light angled at this 70 degree angle 2 feet away from the subject. No, they know exactly what that does. And but there are also people who are, methodical and organized. They love working, brands love working with photographers who are reliable and professional. Or maybe you're chaotic and spontaneous and you kind of go with the flow. That's also like incredibly valuable because you're able to create those moments that isn't uh created in a way where it's more like yeah, like spontaneous the spontaneity of a moment. But also like, there are some people who are really good at building relationships, do clients and do like talent or models like feel instantly comfortable with you. That's a huge strength. Your approach is valid, whatever it is, and there's just a few more superpowers you can have or strengths. Maybe you're incredibly personable on set. You keep the energy high. You create a positive atmosphere. There's some people that you meet that are just like instantly, you're just like, can we be best friends? And you can tell that they're able to work a room where everyone is um really comfortable. And also I think like in terms of clients, with creative agencies and with brands. They love working with people that they get along with very well. And you can keep, there's the sets fun and things like that. But also like you can also be a problem solver. So when things go wrong, you can figure it out really quickly and really efficiently. Or maybe you have a deep niche knowledge. So maybe you love cars or you love sport, like bikes, even coffee, or something that like you understand the product or the service. So inside and out that you know how to convey this and you know how to make this visually exciting. Um, and there are people who love cars and can photograph cars really well because they understand the like the shapes and they understand I don't know much about cars, so I'd say, okay, let's say coffee. I think coffee is like one thing is like they understand the kind of like how other coffee, people who really love coffee, how they feel about the process, the roasting process, the temperatures that you need to make sure like coffee's done at, or the kind of like kit that they use for coffee, and they can kind of put that into um a photo or to a campaign. There's people who um like for example, drink photographers, they know exactly where the spritz needs to go on a bottle or glass, and they can say like this one bubble or these two, three bubbles need to be put elsewhere. They know exactly the amount of fizz that makes things look appetizing. And so like there's just so many different strengths that you can have, like creative direction. There's loads of photographers who are able to come to brands or creative agencies with fully fleshed out concepts. And these are legitimate strengths. So your job is honestly just assessing yourself and identify your unique combination of strengths. And so once you've identified your strengths, you have to play to them. So don't waste time trying to improve your weaknesses. I'd say understand your weaknesses and see in what ways that you can improve, you can kind of not use. So if you are, for example, I'm not very good at, I'd say, I'm really clumsy on set. Like I'm very clumsy on set. So I always get my lighting assistants to help me move things around because I'm just not great at that. And so I'm not going to go in and start moving things around because I know I just something will just like fall or something. But it's best to concentrate on your strengths and be so good at it that you become irreplaceable. So people know you for this. They know like, oh, they're very good at the technical they're very good at like the technical bit, or they're very personable, or they have this really deep knowledge. And specialists who are really good at their specific things get hired over and over. So get crystal clear on what makes you special and then build your approach around that. And this is how you kind of stand out. And so this is where we get really practical. So we're going to be talking about research. So you can have the most beautiful portfolio in the world, but if you don't know how to show it, then it doesn't matter. So this is where so many photographers kind of drop the ball. This was me. I'm still trying to get to do more of this as well. It's quite like you have so many things going on. And I do drop the ball on this, so I'm going to be very guilty and say this does happen. But I know that this thing is quite integral to advancing your commercial career. So the research is what separates photographers who occasionally get work to photographers who have consistent careers. So the good news is like once you learn the system, it's actually pretty straightforward. There's a way that I do it that is how like helps me. Like I know I'm quite methodical in how I am able to reach out and research to clients. And so a perfect portfolio sitting on your desktop is a hobby, and a perfect portfolio shown to the right person is a career. So you must treat research like a challenge. The goal is to identify the people who commission your work. And this is the thing, it is a challenge. It is being able to find exactly who who are the gatekeepers in terms of who are able to hire you, and what creative agencies work with the brands that you want to work with. And it can be all demystified once you kind of get the hang of things. So for me, this is what I do. I choose a brand that I would love to work with. Let's say it's 7 Up. And then and I look, do research, look at does it align with what you shoot? Is there a gap there? Or, is there an approach that you can do that they're not doing? Or can you fit in well with their current campaigns? And then so like then the second thing I do is to Google the brand name with the creative agency. So I'd say 7 Up, or I think it's Coca-Cola who owns 7 Up, I believe. And then put Coca-Cola creative agency. And then sometimes depending on where you're based, put in where you're based as well. Because I've done it before where I've done that and then like, oh, we're based in the Netherlands. And I'm like, oh, based in London, sorry. Um, and so yeah, so that and also I would say that a lot of creative agencies want to showcase their work. So you'd get lots of results from just finding it, just doing this like one search term. But then also you can do the brand name, the art director, the creative director, the art buyer, the producer, the design agency, and then you can get like you'd get a list of different people, agencies, and I would kind of put that into a Google Sheet just so you keep track. And then, you find out, once you've found out who creates their campaigns or what creative directors or certain people have helped to make that campaign. You can also do this via Instagram. I think sometimes you can search their creative agency, and then most of the time they will have all the people that were involved in the creation of a campaign. And then you can just go through their profile and either give them a follow. It's good. I think I personally use my Instagram as a way to follow important people who will commission my work. Because then once you're posting, they can directly see your work and also your personality. So like, if you put stuff on stories, they can see the kind of how you work on set, who you are as a person. And then, sometimes I would say then research their campaigns because they might have just done the one campaign that aligns with your work and maybe not the other campaigns. So I'd say like see if there's a consistent theme there. Look at the other brands that they work with. And then um reach out strategically. So this is the bit where I think it's on the next slide. Yeah, so when you do reach out, look at the campaigns and identify which ones really resonate with your style. And then when you email them, be genuine. So tell them specifically, this is what I try to, this is the bit that takes the longest bit, I think, going through the work and trying to highlight something that really resonates with you, and what stood out to you. It could be a recent campaign, or it could be something that was done a couple of years ago. Or I try not to go too far back. But something where, and if you can, in particular, if you find someone who has worked on that campaign directly, because creative agencies can be quite big, and so they may post work, but the person you're reaching out to may not have worked on that campaign directly. But bonus points if the person you're reaching out to has worked on that campaign directly. Tell them what it is that you like about their work, and because you are picking out something that you do like, you should be able to find a reason. It could be the use of colors, it could be the location, it could be the tagline, it could be I just really love that product and I can't believe you did that. Like I want to do that too. Um, and just keep it brief and keep it simple. They get emails all the time. And imagine if you're in their position, you don't want to read four paragraphs or 5 paragraphs. You just want it to be, this is hello, this is who I am, love what you recently did or what you worked on. This is the link to my campaign. Would love to have a chat. And then so make it easy for them to see your work. It could be a link to your website, or it could be a small size PDF. This is one thing that I actually used to feel like quite a bit like, oh, my work, like the because you know you can only send a large, like only I think up to 20. My one is up to 25 MB on the via email. And I used to think, oh no, they won't be able to see the quality of my but the thing is, your work will stand out regardless of the size. So even if it's all blurry, they can they can still see that this is a good photo. So of course you don't want it to be too blurry that they can't see anything, but you know, it doesn't matter if the size, if the quality isn't as good as you want it to be. As long as the photo is good and the image is good, then they can see that. Um, and then the thing is the reality. So first commercial jobs might be small. So it does take time. So your first commercial jobs will be might be small. It might be big. You never know. Maybe it's a local restaurant or small brand, but that's totally normal and it's okay. So portfolio building happens gradually, not overnight. You're going to have multiple income streams for a while, and that's okay. Also, even just as a working photographer, it is absolutely okay to have multiple streams of income. Photography can go, you can, photography work isn't consistent, especially in the commercial world. You can go from working, having two, three jobs a month to one job a month to zero jobs for 6 months. So having that, I would say practically having, if you can, create other streams of income to help. Um, and so it could be, you know, working as a lighting assistant. It could be doing some production assisting. I'd say I advise it to be in the industry if you can. It could be licensing your, you know, your images, maybe doing social media in some ways, doing small gigs here or there. It could even just be, you may not be shooting, maybe not exactly what it is that you want to shoot, but you're still shooting. Um, and it's not really, I don't see it as a failure. That's how most of us build our careers. And if you're going to face rejection. You can send 20 emails and get one or two back. You can get zero back, but it's the consistency and doing it over and over again because that one job or the two jobs that you like or the responses that you get will can lead to amazing things. Um, and also, even with pitches, you can spend so long on a pitch. You can spend a week working on a pitch and you won't even hear back. So this is just normal. And I think it's like a thing to, it's not a rejection personally, it's just how things don't align. And I've started to really understand that sometimes things aren't, just because things didn't work out doesn't mean it won't work out. 6 months down the line, even years down the line. Like this industry is just so random sometimes that you just never know when your next job is going to come in, or where, sorry, not when it's going to come in, where it's going to come from. But it's a process. And but the thing is, as I said before, it is consistency. And it's not about landing one big break, it's just about showing up consistently, improving your work, reaching out regularly, and staying in the game. The photographers who make it aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who don't give up. And I've been in the game for about 10, 11 years. I only just started doing like really working properly in the last two couple years, 2 to 3 years. And so I just never really gave up. I just knew this is it for me. It's like this, I need to be a photographer. And found many different approaches. And this is the one that kind of works for me. Um, and so just to wrap up, shoot what inspires you. Your personal passion projects are your foundation. Also, clients love personal passion projects. They want to see what you shoot personally. They want to see your personality. They want to see who you are as a person. And if you do shoot commercially, if you shoot a commercially personal project, they want to know, why did you shoot that? Why is it looks commercial, but what exactly is it why is it personal to you? What inspired you? And it could be literally anything. It could be smell. It could be, oh, I saw that these flowers smelled nice, but you don't even shoot flowers. You just something that reminds you of the smell of flowers, and so you shoot like shoes. It literally could be anything. It's like, oh, I don't know. It's all random, and it can all they want to know why you shot the thing. And that is really random. Actually, it's probably I should have given a better example, but yeah. And then trust your vision, and that's your competitive advantage. Learn to translate emotions into images. Commercial photography is about selling feelings, and then identify your strengths and play to them. Do your research. know who's hiring and how to reach them, and then own your perspective unapologetically and stay authentic. Commercial success comes from being you while understanding what the market needs. Um, so yeah.
Wow. Wow. My jaw is on the ground. What was the last thing you just said? Stay authentic to yourself while understanding what the market needs, right? Stay
Yeah.
authentic to yourself while understanding what the market needs. I mean, that can be applied to everything in life. And it's so much like, like what Raquel kind of said earlier about like, we shouldn't shy away from what people are interested in and what the market is saying or what the algorithms are saying, but you still need to be yourself and be authentic, but use that as knowledge that is empowering and that can get you to where you want to be. So I love that. I mean, so Angela, first of all, thank you so much for real. Just like wow. And I gotta say, like myself and Polly and Rebecca and everyone behind the scenes, like we keep track of quotes like that people say. We couldn't keep up with you. I was like, what's she saying? I mean, wow, everything you said was just like golden. So thank you for that. And I hope you can take a minute to look in the chat. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, her slides are so beautiful. Her work is so beautiful. So wow, thank you. Thank you so much. And Polly had to step away, but now that just means I get you all to myself. So sad to have my co-host have to step away, but also excited that I just get to, it's just I get you to myself. But yeah, thank you. So we have a lot of questions, so we're just gonna like jump right in. So
Okay.
again, your work is so beautiful and so stunning. Like I said, check out the compliments in the chat. And you have so much experience, so many great clients. But can you go a little bit more? You touched on it in your presentation for sure, but just your own personal path. Can you go a little bit more into like how you got those first clients and how you like first like tapped into the commercial industry?
Yeah, so I first started shooting beauty, so and fashion. That was my thing, and I was doing that for a few years. Actually, let's go way back. So when I first picked up a camera was when I was at uni. I was I think 18. That was like my first DSLR. But before that, actually, I had a film cam, like the disposable film cameras, and I took pictures of my mum when I was like, I think 11 or something. And I was like, oh, this is really great. This is fun. The pictures turned out well. And then just kind of never thought about it again. And I was like, oh, this looks nice. And then kind of was like, oh, photography is nice, but wasn't too sure whether it is like a viable career option. And so I thought I'd just explore it as a hobby. So I bought my first DSLR camera. Yeah, when I was around like 18 or 19. Didn't have video on it as well. So I remember like I had that camera for about 4 years and people were like, oh, can you do video? And I'm like, no, I can't do video. I'm really sorry. It's just a still camera. And I think it was funny because I was getting clients like really small, like shooting really small brands, and then the people who were doing it as a hobby all had these like really high tech cameras, and I just had this like camera that really couldn't do much. Um, and then so then I went from shooting as a hobby once or twice a month, maybe a few clients here or there. Um, and then kind of was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can move into fashion and beauty. And was shooting that for a little bit. And this was, I think, around COVID. But in all that time, it was still like a second job. So it wasn't my first priority. I was still working in the corporate world
Mm.
and like developing my career on that front. And so then COVID happened and I lost my job. And then I thought, you know what? Let's just see where we go with this. And I think at the time I was still shooting fashion and beauty. And I loved fashion and beauty, but I realized I wasn't getting the clients that I wanted to get, and I wasn't really getting enough income for me to fully transition. And so at that point, um, I realized I didn't really have a passion for it, or not that I hadn't. No, that's not it. It was more I felt like it wasn't really showing my personality, and I wanted to really bring who I am to my imagery, and to my work. And even though I love makeup and I love fashion, it's not me per
Mm.
se. Like I love it, but it's not who I am, my personality. And so I kind of was like, let's see where commercial takes me. Let's just see if I were to move towards lifestyle, and just see where that goes. And so I started shooting. I just started to create a portfolio, so a portfolio just for commercial work. And so from there, I was just like, let's just go with the flow. Whatever inspires you, just see how it goes. And at the start, it was like friends hanging out, with food and drink in the background, but not it being the main focus. And then I think at this point, I was also working. I still wasn't fully a photographer at this point, so I was working as a production assistant as well. And I remember at one point, I just was like, I can't keep doing this. I need to move full time into photography. Like I like it just felt like my mind wasn't fully I'd say fully I just needed more time to figure out what it is that just to work on my career a bit more. And so I got to the tether, and I was like, I'm gonna reach out to a bunch of agents to see what happens. And
Mhm.
so I reached out to Hancock and Handsome, who are my current agent. And this was all within a week. I just was like, I'm going to reach out to a bunch of agencies and see what happens. And then I got a few meetings, and then Hancock and Handsome seemed to be the one that really resonated well with me, where we can work together. But I'd say, I guess, the transition between fashion photography and then commercial photography was that point where I was like, actually, just need to figure out what, just shoot what I love and get my personality across on that. Because I think then it shows so much more in your work, and that's me. And
Mhm.
it could come across, it could be different, it literally could be any. That's what I try to highlight my in my presentation. It's not just that's me, but it could be like you could be really sporty, or you could be really into bikes, or into such as, and it could be anything. Maybe you love keeping a really clean house. It's just like, do you know what I mean? Like it could be anything that just like makes you feel, like drives you, keeps you going, and just makes you feel, good. And or it could be how you relate to people. Um, and I think that's what I've noticed has helped me really improve my work, and also self-development. I think I'm saying all these things, but also like really learning who you are as a person can really help strengthen your work and give you that confidence, because then you're like, no, I know this is what I like to do, or I know this is who I am. And I think that really shows through.
Mhm. So I do want to get into the topic of like voice and developing your voice and all that good stuff. But before we kind of transition to that, because that's a whole nother topic, someone asked a really good question. Who can you reach out to as a mentor figure in commercial photography? Because they say, I always felt some hesitance plus conflict of interest as I photographed, like basically asking a commercial photographer in the same city as you might be a little awkward. Is it awkward? How
Mhm.
do you approach that? Or how did you handle that? Or how would you handle that?
So for me, my mentors were kind of online. So I kind of just went and looked online and was
Right.
able to find people who were in the same space,
Mhm.
but um, wasn't, but like there was no kind of conflict there, and they were sharing
Right.
information. But I think with that, I think looking for mentors is something where I think it's like it's a given. You have to give and they also have to give. It can't just be a take
Mhm.
thing. And so and also remember that mentors, if you're looking for a mentor, they're quite busy. So it is about how valuable you are to them as well as they are to you. And with commercial photographers, um, I don't think personally that there is really much of a conflict, because if you're reaching out to someone who is doing what you want to do, they most likely will are able to offer like advice. And I think it's just mainly the time constraints because I don't really, for me personally, I don't see if someone reach out to me, I don't really see it as competition per se, because I'm at this certain level of my career and you're also at this level of your career, and also we may have the same clients that we want to shoot for, but our styles might be different.
Mhm.
Um, if you hire me for you might hire me for one particular campaign that you want to hire the mentor for that, particular campaign. So I think in the case of thinking about reaching out to commercial photographers, maybe look at the kind of style. And if there is if you feel like your style is too similar to them, maybe it might be you need to reach out to a different mentor. Um, and then also I think, you can always offer to work for them, lighting assist or, do some, personal assisting. Um, I think also try not to take too much of their time. It could just be a once a month thing. It could be online. I think you can be quite flexible. I would try and be flexible as I can with the mentor. But I think lots of photographers are happy to give their knowledge. And again, I've not really seen too much from my side, not a conflict of interest, because you're being hired for you, and that photographer, the mentor's been hired for them. And so, it's be strategic of who you want to be strategic in the kind of mentor that you want to have. So there is not, if you feel that there is a conflict of interest, maybe that isn't the right fit. And look for someone who has this kind of clients that you want to shoot for, but has a different style to what you're shooting, I'd say.
Right. Yes, I just you're who you are just like exude like comes through the screen and you were saying that, sometimes I meet people and I'm like, I love you. And I want to say, I love you, Angela. You're so amazing. Yeah, I just love your positive energy. It's very infectious. So yeah, I'm just like in awe. But I'll stay focused on the question. So, on the topic of confidence and staying true to yourself and your own voice, um, you said owning your own perspective, and if you're not sure yet, fake it till you make it. But, how exactly? And additionally, on that same note, how do you remain confident in your work? Like as more people come onto the scene, or those, if you feel like you're not growing. So, kind of a two-part question. How do you, what are some active ways that people can develop their own voice, and how do you know when it's your voice? And then how do you remain confident in your voice when other voices are, around
Mm,
you?
hmm
Mhm.
Um, okay, so how do you know? I think that is when I first started, I didn't really know what I wanted to shoot, but I knew I picked something. So I was like, I'm gonna pick food, and because I like food, I like just like if I'm gonna be shooting food, literally the motivation was if I'm gonna be shooting food on a shoot, I just want to eat the food.
Oh my God, I love that. I mean, it's very similar to like, like give yourself the assignments you want, like photograph the food you want to eat. I love that.
But
But then you're like genuinely motivated, right? Like, so continue. I'm sorry. I love that.
um, so yeah, so like that was my kind of it's not a very great one. But then I kind of developed it and I was like, oh, okay, I see how I kind of shoot food. I see how the difference, or I see how I shoot people in like situations. Um, but also like maybe look into your hobbies. What is it that you like doing? What do you like doing in your spare time? Ask your friends what they, like about you, what traits that you have. And then kind of, or you can also go to like for inspiration, you can go to art galleries or things where I wouldn't necessarily say photography, so don't go on Pinterest and be like, I would go to art galleries or look at old magazines. Um, other ways that you can create, like there's so many, like cooking, there's so many different ways. Creativity isn't just drawing or painting, or it's, there's so many ways you can create. Um, and then I think then kind of write the things that come up consistently or like come up quite a lot, and then see how you can then explore that, I'd say. And I think a thing is try not to be afraid, because it doesn't matter where you are on stage of your life and your photography career, failure is bound to happen. So
Mm.
it's just a case of just doing it and then moving forward and be like, okay, this isn't, there's so many shoots I've done and I'm never, this is never going anywhere. Or I've done something where I'm like, oh, this is not how I really wanted it to go. But the thing is you did it and you learned from it. So
Mm.
and then once I think you start doing that, you can kind of see, I think be quite analytical about your work and see the patterns and really show your work to people. Don't ask them like if this is good or not. Just say what's consistent about this. Just be like, oh, is it what is it that you keep seeing throughout all these images that I'm shooting? Or if they say it's not consistent, then you're like, okay, cool, but what is it? Then you think what image stands out to you, and do you think that resonates with me? So that's that. So what was the second?
Oh, that's
The
awesome.
second
I mean,
one?
I think you kind of answered it really quickly though. When you say, do you have those conversations with your clients? No.
Not with my clients because
Yeah,
I
okay.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, okay. I was
yeah.
just wanted to clarify there. I was like, whoa, should I be like, yeah, okay. Just clarification before we all go like bearing our souls to, our clients and insecurities. Okay. The second question was, how do you like remain confident in your voice when other voices are, like as you said you've been doing this 10, 11 years and probably the past few years you've been getting the clients that you want, but things are changing all the time. Now there's AI. Like how do you remain confident in your vision and who you are, despite other, challenges like AI or more competition or,
Mm.
how do you remain confident?
I think I'd say there's like two parts to this. The first is just remember that you're unique. So your perspective is your perspective, and how you see the world is how you like no one has the same. This is like me getting all philosophical. I can never say that word, philosophical on you guys.
I love
But
it.
no one has the same. No one has the same life as you. No one has the same life experiences. Everyone has similar experiences, but no one's gone through the exact same thing that you've gone through. Like
Mhm.
so. Even your siblings, if you have them, they don't have the same experience that they have with your parents, like you have with. So it's everyone has a unique sense of self. Like you have a sense of self, and I think when there are so many different voices. Um, it happens to me as well. And I'm like, oh, I wish maybe I should shoot that, or maybe I should do that. I think
Mhm.
take that and be like, okay, if this person is doing this, what is it that I can do that makes it me? And
Mhm.
so then it's not a case of, there's all these voices. It's a case of, oh, I really love that campaign. That looks so good. Or I really love this shot. That looks so good. What inspiration can I take and how can I make that me? And by that, it's like, it might be the changing the lighting setup. It might be using that, even the same lighting setup, but using it for something that you like for a different thing. Or, I think like a different subject or different, um, situation or whatever that. And I think that's what makes things, I'd say, I think that helps me kind of because voices are always going to be there. There's always when you grow throughout when you develop through your career, you're going to have people who win jobs over you, and you're going to be like, oh, what was it that they had that I didn't have? Um, but I think it's learning and taking different elements of that and repackaging it for yourself. And I'd say the thing is with photography, it is competitive. It is extremely competitive,
Mhm.
but the competitive nature I'd say is that is try to use to your advantage of like, okay, this is how they did this thing. And you may not, sometimes you may not even like what it is that they've done, like taste wise, but you're able to see they've done it, this is how they've got it, and I didn't get it. So what is it that they did that I didn't do? And
Mm-hmm.
I think like with all the different people are like, oh, shoot this, or this looks good, this looks good. It's like, okay, just taking those different elements and
Mm-hmm.
making it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did have a second point, but I forgot it.
Um, it'll probably come up again. I mean, do you want to say any remarks on AI? We're kind of getting a little off topic, but someone asked about that. So do you have
Okay.
any like quick remarks about AI?
Yes, I actually have a few. I have a few thoughts.
Oh, or more. Yes, tell us. What are we gonna
Um,
do about AI?
AI, use it. I'd say with I use I use it to help me develop concepts. Um, just to
Awesome.
say, I'd say when you're on a shoot with a client, even when you're shooting yourself, there's so many different decisions that you make, micro decisions
Mm.
that you make that with AI, you have to write it as a prompt. And then the one thing you write as a prompt then changes something else that you didn't want to change. When you want to
Mm.
shoot with a client, you do a shoot, they have a fully fleshed out concept. They even use AI to make the concept. And then you're there to shoot it. And then they like, I don't really like how this looks. I think maybe we should turn it this angle. And it's always those kind of things that happen on the shoot. And AI can't replace that. AI can't replace happy accidents. Sometimes you take a
Ooh.
shot and something happens, and then you're like, oh wow, that was really nice. Let's see how we can play with that. And clients they love to go back and forth. They're quite indecisive. They want one thing and then they see something else. And then they're like, we want that. AI can do that, but it'd be very expensive. Something that can be fixed within a minute on set will take a few £1,000s or dollars to fix an AI. So so I think I wouldn't say AI is a threat in a sense of creativity, but
Mm.
I'd say um for those who were doing low, kind of like high volume stuff,
Mm.
e-commerce, um, pack shots, things like that. I would try, if you are in that position, I would try and start developing, um, try and moving towards campaign, or things that have more creativity,
Mhm.
um, to
Mhm.
that. And uh, yeah, that's, and I also use AI as a way of like, just like if I have a concept and I don't really know what I wanted, what it is, I'll just like, oh, can you give me five different, what was it that I wanted to do? I think I was doing like cultural foods and I was like, I can only name five. Can you give me 15 different cultural foods so I can choose which one
Right.
to shoot? So it's
Right.
like you can use AI to your advantage. I think even for retouching, there's loads of different ways you can use it to retouch, like particularly like skin retouch and things like that.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be scared per se of AI on my lane. It depends on what it is that you're shooting.
Mhm.
And remember that AI can't replace creativity.
Yes.
So
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, AI can't replace the things that make us human, right? Which are those happy accidents and like how things happen organically. So it's a really nice reminder. On the topic of editing, we've got two questions that we pride ourselves on trying to get through all the questions. So we have two that I think are just pretty easy, like boom, boom. Do you have a specific process or technique for editing your photos? What software do you use?
So I use Capture One and Photoshop, occasionally Lightroom.
Okay.
Um, Capture One, for basically like majority of the stuff that I do. I have styles, so create a style, so like preset, um, and then I will work off that. So if I have a shoot,
Wow.
I tether into Capture One, then I have like 60 different styles, but
Wow.
all of them are all from one, from, from one, the main one.
So we'll
So
have you
it's like
next year for a session on toning and post process.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I kind of go on like that. So I can do one like or I'll just edit just from scratch. But mainly I'll start off with um a preset. So I tap into Capture One, then I'll start off with a preset, and then it takes me a really long time. Sometimes I literally don't even look at the photo because sometimes I will go through the presets and none of them just doesn't work, and so I'll just leave it because I get frustrated and I'm like I can't edit this. It's just not looking the way I want it to, and then I'll come back to it. It might be the next day, it might be in 2 weeks, whatever. And I'll come back to it, and then I'll try again and work with the kind of yeah, the presets that I have, and then I'll kind of adjust the presets. So I probably do like the main one that I usually have, and then there's like offshoot of that, and then maybe I might use that offshoot to start off.
Hmm.
But I'd say the thing that has made me that has definitely I'd say increased the quality of my work is being very harsh on my selects. So I
Mm,
don't choose the
yes.
similar photos. And I always say this, when you see a
Ugh.
campaign, when you see a billboard, they only have one photo. So why do you need to have 20? So, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, what is, you know, it's, so I'm like, there's only like, you can shoot 500 shots, but they're
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
you have a hand, like, of course I'm going to have like, the finals, maybe 10 or maybe 15 or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
But even then it can be narrowed down. And
Hmm.
so
It's the
it's
hardest
a case
part.
of, yeah.
It's so hard. It's the part for that for me takes the longest. And I got some good advice once that is kind of hard to follow, but and with photojournalism, like you narrow down, like you said, the selects. And someone once told me, well, don't send anything that you wouldn't want to see published. Because sometimes we'll think like, oh, well, maybe they'll want to use that for this. Such good advice. Yeah, because it's like, would you be happy if they picked that photo or if that image was published? So that's like,
Mm.
it's hard, right? But so I'm so glad you brought up selection. And honestly, I'm like, all right, Angela, are you free a year from now? Because you should do a whole session on sequencing and editing and post-processing. Um, so we've got another, I think, so someone asks, is commercial photography the same as brand photography, just on a bigger scale? I've shot for local businesses before, so could I consider that commercial experience?
Yes, of course. Yeah, definitely. I would say, yeah, 100%. Anything that you small or big, whatever you shoot to sell a service, a concept, a product, I
Yes.
would say it's commercial
Awesome.
photography.
Perfect. Okay, and I've got another, I think, just like straightforward answer, then we'll get back into the deep soulful before we finish up. But someone says, any tips for displaying your work or organizing your portfolio? For example, if you're shooting different things like food, sports, fashion, is it more appealing for clients to see those categorized by project? And that kind of
Mm.
goes for, anyone. And, like if you're shooting different things, should you categorize it? What would be your advice?
Um, that's quite like I think everyone has their own different ways. So I can't say there's a right or wrong answer for that. I think you would go for what works for you. But I'd say if you want to go deeper, you could talk about the kind of client, like if you're thinking about clients and who you want to showcase your work to. Um, with your website, it can be quite, you can have it so you have a main page and then you have all the different things that you shoot. And then maybe you can go into categories, maybe you go into projects. It really is personal preference. But I'd say once you're targeting and reaching out to clients, I would create a curated portfolio. So if you're reaching out to sport, like so, a sports brand, I would have sports mainly in my portfolio. And then then show it to them. If I'm reaching out to a food brand, I would have food and then, create it, make it so it's just mainly food. And then you can sprinkle in other bits, but the focus is what it is that their product or service is. I'd say though, when I think for me, because I know my style, I'm
Mhm.
able to have that style across different genres.
Right.
But if your sports and your food photography are completely different, as in like you can't see the line, the thread between the sports, food, fashion, I wouldn't put all of it on my website because it shows that there's different photographers shooting different things. So
Mhm.
I think maybe if you look at your work and really go through and see what how all these images kind of look together. If you put them all on the one page, what images kind of work together, and then you're like, okay, so this is what. It's also another way of showing, oh, this is how I kind of shoot. I like to shoot this way. So when developing your style, because you can pick out the different
Mhm.
similar styles that work together across different genres.
Mhm.
But um, I think what I've seen from looking at other photographers' websites is that even though they have different genres, you have to make sure that the style runs through consistently. And if it doesn't, then I think maybe make a separate website for it or make put it into a different portfolio.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I hope
Mhm.
that helps.
No, that's so helpful. And I love how you can apply that to different, like, for the photojournalist listening, it's very similar, and I think just your advice on remaining consistent is really important. Okay, so we've got two people asking a similar question. It's going to be our last question. I'm sorry, guys, we can't get to all of your questions. There's still quite a bit more. And thank you, Angela, for being so generous with your time and your knowledge. But okay, so last question. A couple of people have big question marks around agents. So, for example, do you have suggestions on how to go about searching for an agency? Like if you live in a city like New York, would you suggest getting an agent outside of a competitive city like New York or London to increase your chances of landing gigs? And then just in general, please talk about your experience with the photo agency. So I think people in general are just kind of like, well, what is a photo?
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So, photo agents are people who represent you and market you to clients. We have many people have a photo agent because their work is they're just really busy and they can't handle the admin, the finance and marketing. Um, and so they have an agent to do all that and they take commission. For me, I wasn't that busy, but my work was good enough to have an agent to be like, okay, I can see making basically I can make money from you. So it's kind of like there's like kind of those two for me anyway. I've seen just those two kind of ways to get an agent. Um, Outside of your city, it's very, I think if you are starting out, having an agent will help, but it won't be what accelerates your career. So if you decide to have an agent outside of um, New York, London, it can help you get gigs, which can then help you, if you look at it long term, then have that commercial experience get to move on to a bigger agent. But again, it's all about your work because you can be shooting for these small brands and your work isn't creative enough or stands out enough and you have to be quite brutal with this and honest with yourself, is that just because you shoot for these clients, does that make it mean that you're good enough for a big agent? Because sometimes there are people who sign to really large agencies and they don't have any commercial experience, but because their unique view of the way of how they see the world, um, agents see that and they want that, and so they know they're commercially viable. So it really depends on your end goal, of if your long-term strategy. If you want a big agent, then focus on shooting work that stands out. If you want to make money, if you want income,
Mhm.
you have to realize that the time will be split between making personal work and also working on smaller gigs, because if your long-term goal is again to get a big agent, so I'd say it can work, but again it depends on the focus and what it is that you want to do. And if you're happy with regular consistent work, then go for an agent in your city or wherever you are. And also, like, I'm from London, so no, so I'm from the UK. So London is like it's the one main city. Whereas in the US, it's like you have New York, but you have LA and you have like Chicago. You have so many other like bigger cities than we, like Houston, like you have so many bigger cities than we do. So, like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Before we wrap up, do you have any I mean, like I said, we couldn't even keep up in the quote section, but do you have any anything that, maybe you haven't said or you want to just make sure people, if anything, they remember this? Any last words?
Yeah, so I'd say again, like back to the main focus, which is know who you are, know what your strengths are, play to them, and you're unique. And so your work will be unique. And
I'm
so
like, it's so important. It's such a good reminder because this work is so personal, right? We do it because we love it. Our hearts are connected to it. And so sometimes all those challenges can feel so personal and then you start to self-doubt. So it's just such a good reminder. Thank you for being who you are and for just showering us with your positive energy and your beautiful work. So thank you again, Angela,
thank
being
you.
with
It's an
us.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And take some time to look in the chat. You've got lots of compliments and people thanking you. And we've dropped Angela's information in there so you can continue to follow her and for her, and her work. But so we will be starting the next class in 15 minutes. Normally we would take a 30-minute break, but we just wanted to get all that we could out of Angela's wisdom. So in 15 minutes, we'll be starting the next class. And Angela just mentioned kind of money and like Polly and I were saying yesterday, it's like as if we planned this or something. So, the next speaker, Hollis, will actually be talking to us about money and how we can make that work for us. So, but before we go to our break, we wanted to once again thank Angela and all of our speakers from this morning and our partner, Photo Wings. Photo Wings is a nonprofit whose goal is to help photography to be better understood, created, utilized, seen, and saved. As a reminder to everyone, these classes will be recorded and published online at the Everyday Projects, Black Women Photographers, and Photo Wings website. So please take note again of those websites and follow us on social media. And what was the other? Oh, and we'll have the videos available in different languages as well. So please bookmark those websites, sign up for our newsletters to stay updated and informed. So yeah, we'll see you guys in 15 plus 2, 17 minutes. So we'll be back in 17 minutes, y'all. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Angela.